Welcome. I guess we're live. Good to know. I am so happy you joined me today. I am very grateful for you coming to hear what I have to say, and hopefully you'll get something of value as well out of this. I know your time is valuable. You're busy people. I appreciate you taking this time, and I'm so glad that you were able to come. And if you like this, if you would like to share it, if you would like to like it, any of those other fun things, that would be wonderful. And if you are watching this on a replay, which I know that many of you are, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's everybody take a deep breath, myself especially. I am Gwen Chappell. I help people, mostly professional women, who I help them to understand who they are and what they want, and help them to develop the skills and the competences, the things that they need, the social awareness, the emotional self-regulation that they need to really thrive in their personal lives and in their professional lives. So over the last month, this is my 5th Facebook already. I've been doing them once a week, trying to do them around 10 o'clock Pacific. And let me just quickly add, I don't live on the Pacific coast. I live in Saskatchewan, but Saskatchewan doesn't change times. So it can be very confusing for people to show up at a particular time. And I have found that it's really easier for me to do the adjusting to time. So I've put all my Google Calendar and all my times in Pacific time zone, not because I want to pretend that I'm not from Saskatchewan. I love Saskatchewan. I love the skies. I think they're magnificent, beautiful scenery. But just to make it more convenient and easier for everybody to show up at a particular time. So over the past 4 sessions, I've been doing Facebook Lives, and I've been talking about career confidence. And the first session, we talked a little bit about how confidence is often confused with competence, and that's why we all want confidence, because we know that that gives us the appearance of being competent. It's our internal emotions don't always reflect our external competence. So that was the takeaway that I hope you took away from the first Facebook Live. The second Facebook Live was a nice, short, sweet one. It was about contextual confidence and how we are confident in different contexts. So we could be confident in one area of our lives and not very confident in another. And appropriately so, because if we are aware of our levels of skill in a particular area, we hope, know that we are not as competent in some areas than others. Nobody is competent at everything. The third one was about appreciating criticism and learning how to deal with it, how to take what you can take away from criticism. And then the last one, I dragged myself up at 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm not an early bird, and very much the opposite. But I dragged myself out of bed in order to attend a webinar by Dr. Susan David. She was talking about emotional agility and emotional agility coaching, and so what I ended up talking about last week was a very small part of what she had taught us, and that was about the importance of values and learning to live those values and choosing values and goals along the way that are in the direction of those values. But our values won't change even though the goals might change. And that's kind of a useful thing to keep in mind as we talk about the career survey results, the career confidence survey results that I want to talk about today. So if you've been following me, or if you will probably know a little bit about my story. I am a former career counselor and now a career development coach. Have had in the past some troubles with anxiety and probably will always have some level of anxiety, just simply because my physiology is built that way. That doesn't mean that I can't take on challenges and maybe not excel, but maybe I can do quite a good job at those challenges. One of the things that you've probably learned about me is that I have a love of learning, and that love of learning has led to getting several degrees, an undergraduate degree, or actually it's the equivalent of a 3-year degree, but because I can't, the University of Saskatchewan doesn't assign or doesn't permit undergraduate degrees from the College of Arts and Science in more than one major. I thought I was going to have a degree in geology and an honors degree in English, and it turned out that I had a choice. I could have a Bachelor's of Arts in English or a BSc 3-year degree so let me rephrase that. I could have a Bachelor of Arts with a certificate in geology, or I could have a 3-year Bachelor of Science with a certificate in English. And I flip-flop between the two, and I've eventually decided to go for a BA in English. Same classes, just different, only one degree allowed, apparently. 1 degree, 1 certificate. And I chose that English because it was more meaningful to me. I realized that I could not get excited about geology in the same way that my fellow students in geology were thrilled. I remember them talking about discovering kimberlite in northern Saskatchewan, and they were ecstatic. And I was thinking, kimberlite, it's kind of a volcanic rock. Sometimes it has diamonds. Yeah, okay. I'm not really excited about this. And I realized that, okay, I didn't have the same interest and calling in it. And that's when I chose, following my values, that that English was a better choice for me. But that choice to get an English degree was not without its difficulty. I had struggled with writer's block as a student in my undergraduate degree in English, and I ended up in about the last month of my last year writing, I think, about 10 essays, about 30, 50, 100 pages in essays all in 1 month, and I was very, very exhausted and very, very anxious. But I remember one kind professor even letting me hand in my last paper up to 4 days after the final exam, as long as he had it. He would grade it and include it in my final exam. So it was very stressful. And so when I went into my master's in English, I knew I was taking on a challenge, but I thought I had gotten it mostly under control. And so I did manage to get through the classes, and then was doing quite well until I ran into my thesis and a supervisor who made some rather negative comments. And I kind of antagonistic comments. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I felt quite devastated by these comments. They were antagonistic, they were critical, they were adversarial. I felt like she was questioning my intelligence, my ability. I wondered what on earth was I even doing at the university. Can you relate? Have you ever run into that kind of situation where you ran into some unexpected criticism and it just threw you for a loop? I was thrown for a loop. I struggled for a long time. I finally got up enough nerve to show these comments to a friend of mine who was a fellow graduate student in English and who was very bright and was trundling along to her doctorate nicely while I'd been stalled at this master's level. And her comments were very gratifying. She was a very vocal person. Let's just say that when we were eating lunch at a local restaurant, and when she read these comments, her expletives and tone of voice did cause several heads to turn. But it was very gratifying because I realized that my reaction was not unjustified, that this was kind of an unfair attack, that it wasn't an accurate evaluation of my abilities. So that gave me the courage to show it to my other supervisor, who was a very gentle, calm soul. And she looked over the comments, and her advice was just simply to ignore the adversarial tone. And in those simple little calm words was just a whole different perspective, just a different way of looking at these things. And I realized now, looking back at it, I realized, oh, this was a very adult ego state speaking, that this was a calm, logical evaluation of something, and that you could, again, learn to appreciate those comments and ignore the parts that were not accurate. And I had 3 different evaluations: my own evaluation, my friend's evaluation, and then my supervisor's evaluation. So I was pretty sure that I could trust my own evaluation of these comments. So after I got over these comments, I trundled along. I finished off that thesis and the master's degree in English, but I knew that I had bigger fish to fry, so to speak. I knew that I really wanted to find out how I could manage my own anxiety and how I could help other people get past the blocks. And I also wanted to help them really get to understand who they were and what precious gifts that they have to bring into the world. And so I went into career counseling. I went into educational psychology and then into career counseling. And then more recently, I've studied coaching and along the whole idea of helping people achieve their dreams and get closer and closer to what it is that they want to achieve in the world and who they really are. So that brings us up to the survey. And there's a reason why I went into such details about some of my challenges that I went to and some of my history, because it relates to this survey, these survey results. So the survey, if you didn't know already, you asked the question, what is your number one challenge when it comes to career confidence? So the results I got back seem to fall into about 3 big categories. The first category is questions around career choice, and then rechoice, because sometimes the first choice wasn't a good fit, or it wasn't a good match, or it wasn't quite what somebody expected it to be. And then along with that, in the same category is job search, like finding an occupation, first of all, finding a job or an occupation that you think will fit for you, and then finding an appropriate position, finding the right environment, the right place, the right social environment, the right geographical environment, all those things. So that was kind of the first category. Now, the second category of challenges falls into the category of what I'm calling performance and promotion. Concerns about how do I get the skills that I need, and where can I find these skills? Why am I not succeeding in the way that I think I should be, or the way that my supervisor should be? And then the questions around, well, how do I attract the attention of the right people? How do I promote my abilities without appearing to be promotional or egotistical? So that's the second category. So first category, career choice and job search. The second category, performance and promotion. And the third category is what I call the social skills. So we have, I guess I should call them emotional skills, because they include social skills of connecting and creating allies and dealing with social bias, that kind of thing. And the other part is the emotional self-regulation skills, dealing with self-doubt, discounting your abilities, managing anxiety levels, moving ahead despite anxiety. So if you think back over my story, you can see that I had components of all of these, and I don't want to focus totally on myself. And next week I will be going into a little bit more detail about each of these and what you can do about them. But I feel like I've kept you long enough today. You notice that my story has all of those components that I initially struggled to find a career: geology, English, getting clear on my values, re-choosing, refining, going into English, running into blocks, So you run into some social bias, some performance issues, some concerns, some self-doubt. All those things you can see were a thread throughout my own experience, and I expect that they are a fairly common experience for just about everybody, that people probably go through all these stages. So next week, I will be talking about these different stages and what resources and what tactics I think that you need to deal with them. Sorry, I was distracted because I was thinking, oh gee, I said I was going to go through all the stages, but I'm going to start going through these stages. So next week, I will be looking at career choice and career rechoice. And then probably, well, I don't think we'll have time to go into a job search at that time. So we'll probably break them down and do them quite slowly so that these sessions don't get to be too long. Let's see. Oh, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening. And if this is useful for me, I would love to see some comments and some shares, anything like that. We, around this time next week, around on Tuesday, 10 Pacific, we'll be looking at career choice. Oh, and in the meantime, if you are interested, I have a limited number of career confidence discovery sessions. And these discovery sessions are a chance for you to talk with me and identify for yourself some of the issues that you think are particularly relevant to you. It's a win for me because I get to learn more about my client's situation, and it's a win for you because you should come away from a career confidence discovery session. That's easier thought than said. Career confidence discovery session that will give you a sense of what your next steps could be, and you should come away with at least 1 or 2 strategies to help you deal with some of the situations that you might be encountering. So if you like this, would you share it, I guess? I've also created a career confidence page on Facebook. So if you would like to pop over there, I'll be sharing this on that page. And eventually I will stop sharing it on my personal timeline and I'll only be doing it on the career confidence page. And in the meantime, what can I tell you to do? I'm not going to tell you to do anything. I'm going to let you decide what you need to do this week. I think that's important too. So we'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.